Hey, welcome to the Lovelda Show, Women of Power podcast. I'm your host, Lovelda Vincenzi, and this is the show where women share their personal power tools, which I define as the tools, techniques, or strategies which have enabled their success in life and business. I ask all of my guests to be real, raw, honest, authentic, and vulnerable, dare I say. So this is a girl chat show like no other, where we really do dive into what it is to be a powerful woman, the real tools behind a woman's success. Now, if you're on this channel, do hit that subscribe button right now and hit the bell to make sure that you're notified when new shows are added. You can also subscribe to find us on Instagram, which is at Lovelda Show. You'll find all links that have been shared in the show in the show notes. And right now we're going to hop straight over whilst I do a audio introduction before we jump into the full show. So let's get started. Hey, chicas. Welcome to the Lovelda Show, Women of Power podcast, the show where women share their personal power tools, the techniques, strategies, and ways of being which have enabled their success in life and business. I'm your host, Lovelda Vincenzi, an international MC and host and female speaking business coach on a mission to unleash authentic, powerful female voices onto the world. Now, this is a girl chat show like no other, as all my guests get real, raw, and authentic whilst sharing pure gold nuggets of wisdom. In today's episode, we'll be uncovering the power tools of Mariana Babis. Mariana's journey in the world began in a small mountain village in the north of Romania. In her early 20s, life presented her with an unexpected journey to the Spanish lands, to Madrid, where she lived and thrived for a beautiful 10 years. After that, Mariana returned to Romania, where she met her husband and soon after welcomed her son into the world. They decided to offer him, their son that is, a better future, so followed the stars on the path that brought them to Scotland, where they've been living for 5 years now, and it's a place that they proudly and dearly call home. All this time, Mariana worked as a lawyer, business owner, and social worker, amongst other things. But being full-time mum for 3 years allowed her the time to look into her dreams and reshape her future. So she decided to train as a clinical hypnotherapist to help people deal with anxiety, depression, fears, addiction, and other issues. But in her world, she is a dream seer who uses hypnotherapy to help people access forgotten dreams, unknown futures, and the mysteries of their emotions, so that they can finally know who they are and can see the magic in their world. In this episode, we talk about intuition. When and how do we use it as women? And is intuition something that we're gifted with, or is it something that we all have access to? Now listen, if your dream is to get paid more for sharing your expertise, use the link in the show notes below to download your copy of my Speaker Marketing Blueprint, your guide to creating speaker marketing assets that match and reflect your expertise and increase your fee regardless of if you're brand new to speaking or ready to level up your speaking career. You will also find in the notes links to any of my special offers. At the time of recording this show, the doors are still open for the Find Speaking Gigs Accelerator and the Nail Your Speaking Niche program. Links for both can be found below. And finally, you'll also find all of the links shared by my guests in the show notes as well. Ooh, and PS. To make sure that you get your regular fix of this show, please remember to hit that subscribe button, or to get the episodes directly into your inbox, subscribe for direct notifications. That's quite enough from me for now. So let's dive in and get on with the show. Hey, chicas. Welcome back to the Lovelda Show, Women of Power podcast. We are fully in the festive season and I am so behind schedule, like getting my Christmas decorations up. You know what it is? My husband, I'm going to blame it on him. I'm going to blame it on him because the Christmas decorations aren't down yet, and I'm starting to get totes jealous of those people who've got theirs up. But enough about that. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time joining and you haven't hit that subscribe button, you are unaware of all the juiciness in the show notes or the free profile audit that is up for the holiday giveaway, then you need to go and check those details out in the notes. Today's episode, what we're going to be talking about today is that little known thing called your intuition, your instinct, that gut feeling, those little thoughts in the back of your mind that give you little hints of directions to go, but doesn't feel quite strategic and quite so grounded in a sensible business conversation? And where do they fit in? And now let's face it, ladies, we have a lot of this. We're like just known for being naturally quite intuitive and naturally quite in line with our intuition. Well, my guest here today is all about dreams, right? And I love that because intuition and hits of like inspiration come from so many different directions. And I think that sometimes we don't know what to do with them or how to process them or where they could potentially fit into our businesses to help us be more effective. So I had to have this conversation. When does instinct come in and when should we be keeping it out of the picture? And the only person I knew who we should be talking to this about is Mariana Babis. Hello, my girl. How you doing, darling?
Hello, Lovelda. It's so amazing to be here with you. I love your energy and your spirit, and the topic of our conversation was amazing. I'm glad we have a chance to dive deeper into that and to discuss a little bit more, because intuition has been my best advisor my whole life.
See, you saying that, when we spoke before this interview to sort of work out what we may talk about or where it's going to go, and let's face it, we don't really exactly know just yet. One of the things that struck me is, I know for me at least, I went on this like private, very quiet journey of exploring my intuition before I'd get to a point where I'm now much more open with people and much more upfront initially about that I use it and that it's something, it's a tool in my toolkit, and I've started to integrate it into multiple parts of my business. But how did you come to sense yours or know that there was some sort of, do we call it a gift? Is that the best word for it?
That's a good question, a very good question. We can call it a gift, but personally, I think it's something that we all have in us. We come into this world with this intuition as part of our bigger self, of our bigger energy field. Let's call it like this, because let's face it, life on this earth is not easy. Life on this earth is challenging. Life on this earth is never a flat line, is always up and down, up and down. So we need all the tools that we can get, and the best tools ever are the ones that come from inside. So I think this intuition was, maybe a gift from the universe, maybe a gift from the creator, or maybe it's just a natural thing everywhere. We're just following it, we flow with it, we fly with it. And
how did you come to discover yours? Because you have quite clear dreams, don't you?
Indeed, I followed my dreams intuitively at the beginning until I learned to trust them. And when I learned to trust them, that voice of intuition became louder and louder, and it became my best friend. When I was 12 years old, Lovelda, I had a powerful dream. And that dream set me on this path. But before I had that clear dream, I kept asking around. And because I was born in a country where religion was very, very important, I asked one of the priests that I used to go to, what happens with dreams? Why do we have dreams? I have these clear dreams, vivid dreams. I have them every night. And I also notice that some of them manifest, or I see signs of it in my everyday life. And you know what? I was told by that specific priest that dreams come from the devil.
So
that's exactly my reaction. That's exactly my reaction as a child. I was shocked. So going on a bit of a quest inside me to, do I believe him? He's the priest. He's a figure, an important figure in our community, in our lives. Or do I go with that voice, that little voice inside me that says, no, 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 there's so much more there to discover.
And I'm guessing you went after the little voice, huh?
Absolutely. That's why we're speaking here today.
I think it's interesting because intuition or dreams, because it has different forms. Like for me, I can never remember a dream. Very rarely. I have moments where I have the times I know I'm going to have a dream that's going to come true in some way. It's normally at some point in the middle of the dream, I find myself going, who's this? And why am I here? And what's going on? And it's just not a normal thing for me to say. But normally within an hour or so of waking up, I've forgotten it. I can't actually remember any details. For me, it's always been a feeling, and I can't really describe it. It's just the only way I can say it is everything about me is telling me no. And I mean, logically, you can line everything up in front of me. Absolutely. Like it makes sense on paper, but everything within me is just telling me, do not, girl, don't do it. Don't do it, girl. So I think it's funny because I don't know that it's the same for everybody. Do you think that do you think there are some specific ways in which we can recognize if we have that intuitive hit, or how to dive deeper into it, perhaps?
I'm very positive that you heard this saying many, many times around you. I've listened to my gut feeling. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a gut feeling one way or another. Everybody said that phrase many times or a few times in their lives. And intuitively, instinctively, they went with that gut feeling. And that gut feeling is the intuition. And that gut feeling and that intuition, for me, it is very much related to dreams. Because when you look into your dreams, when you observe your dreams, you observe everyday life at the same time, because that's how you get confirmation of your dreams being something that are coming to warn you, something that is coming to confirm the things you've seen in your dreams, or something that is preparing you for a specific thing. So when we are learning to follow that little voice, at first we are all, students, we're beginners. We make mistakes sometimes. We go through logic and we say, no, that I cannot follow that inner feeling, and then you make mistakes. And looking back, you realize that if you would have followed that intuition, it would have been so much better. You would have saved time, sometimes money, and sometimes relationships.
And it is that bit of kind of getting to a space of being able to trust. Like,
yes.
I was speaking to a very dear friend of mine. We've been going through the ringers with hiring people. And one of the things that she'd say to me was, Lovelda, the thing is, I just had a feeling. Like, I just had a feeling from the beginning that it wasn't a good fit, and roll over like 3 weeks or whatever it is, and the person is out. Like and she goes, but the thing was, like, when I looked at it on paper, they had this skill and that skill and the other skill, but I just had this feeling that something was a little bit off. And I think sometimes when we use logic too much, like, I don't think there's a problem with it, but sometimes we can use it to override, it's like, but on the paper, it looks like it's fine. Look, they're qualified, they've got years of experience, they've worked with the best people in the industry. Why am I feeling like it's not going to work out? Why do I feel like it's not going to be a fit for me? And I think, how do we find that balance between listening to our logical mind, which will evaluate things, and I think there's a place for it, but also listening to our gut instinct, that thing that's just, sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's a dream, but listening to that gut, let's just call it the gut instinct.
Yeah.
How do we balance that to know that we're not just off doing crazy things because we had a dream? Because that might, to some people, feel quite irrational. I dreamt about it, so I'm off to the Caribbean to do what? I don't know.
Exactly. And I have to say I'm guilty of that. I'm very much guilty of that, but I've reached that point to make that step confidently through experience and acceptance. I think that is one of the ways in which we can make intuition our best friend, because we have that conscious mind. You know, you have that voice in the back of your mind, that little monkey that comes and says, oh, you shouldn't trust that, you shouldn't do that, you should be saving time and energy and just sit back and relax and don't do these things that you know, the human in us, the explorer wants to do in order to experience life. So by accepting there must be something more, something else to life than just, you know, waking up, eating, going to work, coming back, getting married, having kids, having a house, and dying. There must be something more to life. And that is what helped me, Lovelda, to discover and to jump into those experiences, to say, okay, this time I'm going to follow that intuition. What do I have to lose? A quick review? Not much, or maybe nothing. Let's test it. If it works, brilliant. If it doesn't, it's good as well, because it's not much to lose. So when you start to play, I completely recommend playful. Be playful in order to become best friends with your intuition. Because if you become playful is very easy. Mm-hmm. The energy shifts.
I love the word playful, and I love that you said, what have I got to lose? Because sometimes that's the bit that kind of has helped me. It's like I would wake up one morning and suddenly decide I'm hiring somebody. And I'm like, what am I hiring for? And on the one hand, logically, it's like, Lovelda, you're freaking overwhelmed. It's time to hire. And on the other hand, I might be saying, but, you know, cash flow wise, is it a great idea? And, you know, maybe we can just go a little bit longer. But something's just saying, now is the time to hire. And for me, that question of, well, what have I got to lose? Well, I don't have anything to lose if I put out a job application, if I do a job description and people apply. And if everybody is terrible, then it's not the right time. But if I get lots of great people, then I worry about that next step when I come to it. But I think there's, you know, in terms of that, what have I got to lose? Often we've jumped all the way to the end. And actually in step one, there is nothing to lose, because it really doesn't cost me anything to write a job ad and post it somewhere and see who shows up. Now, whether or not I take them on, you know, or not is a different story, but it's that idea, well, let's play and see who's out there right now and see if there is a great fit. And maybe right now it's less about the hiring of the person. Maybe right now it's about helping me get clear on what I want from what I don't want because depending on who shows up, it will give me an idea of, okay, I really like this. Or I thought that what help looked like to me was X, but now I've spoke to a few people doing that. I don't think that's what I want. What with your clients, especially those who perhaps are a lot more logical, shall we say, the ones who show me the reason, show me the evidence, talk me through it. Do you have any tools that will help people? Because let's face it, 2020 has hardly been a year of logic. I mean, if you were relying upon logical all the time, I don't know that it was necessarily the best ship for you to be on this year. You know, it might have worked for some, but it might have been a struggle ship you were on. Yeah. So for people who that has been their normal mode of operation, how do we transition to playfulness and trust with intuition?
Well, I love this question, Lovelda, because it's spot on for me. I can, you know, with a smile on my face, I can tell you that is exactly what I've discovered through my work. I trained as a hypnotherapist, and I love hypnotherapy to bits because it just unlocks that power within. But it's a very neuroscience-based, research-based. So it offers to those clients that, exactly like you said, are looking for facts, are looking for, you know, hard evidence, are looking for results, and they are no friends with woo-woo stories or with, you know, magic
and woo-woo and instinct and somebody's hold me in the back of, from where? I don't know. My guides.
If they don't see, they don't believe it.
Those ones.
Exactly. Well, hypnotherapy is perfect because hypnotherapy has been proved it works. There are tons of research done. It works, and it works on so many symptoms, and the results are recorded. And there are tools in the hypnotherapy process that shows you your progress from session to session. How well are you doing, answering questions? And it's very visual, and it's a boost. And people trust it. But the beauty of that process is when people return from session to session, when they already had a few sessions behind them and they already processed some of those, episodes of anxiety or trauma or abuse or some fears in that stress bucket. And they come from session to session with reports like, I don't know what's happening, but I've started to remember my dreams. I didn't remember my dreams in so many years, but I started to remember my dreams. And that's music to my ears. And that's when I start a conversation around dreams, because now we live in such an amazing time, Lovelda, because there's more and more research about dreams as well. There's more and more evidence and science-based research that proves that dream therapy, it's very natural. It's something very powerful inside us, and is not just talking about it. So yes, they come back from session to session bringing some snippets of information that allows me to open up a conversation about
what if we explored
talk
those
about
dreams?
that?
Yeah, I love the like starting with something that's accessible. So because sometimes what people want to do, or sometimes it's the gap is too big. Like if you're naturally very logical and that's where you're at, and maybe 2020 has been a year of a lot of struggle trying to wrap your head around things, and there's too many things to make a decision about, and and you want to get it right, because that's normally what happens, like you want to get it right. Maybe this idea of, because what I love about hypnotherapy, and what occurred to me when we were speaking about hypnotherapy and dreams, is it's almost like an access point to dreams, because you're going past your logical mind straight to your unconscious mind, and there's a process for doing that. Whereas when you dream, you just get there straight away. Nobody needs to talk you into it. It just happens. And when you're instinctive, you get there straight away. Nobody's talking you into it. You just get very conscious about what's beyond what I'm thinking right now and allow that stuff in. But I think I love what you say for those who are much more in that space of critical thinking and logic and research and facts and figures. Hypnotherapy may be a good place for you to start to access a different version of you that might have some answers you weren't even aware of before.
Absolutely. You are spot on, Lovelda. Spot on. And I love that. Hypnotherapy is, for me, the golden path to access your dreams more. And that's why I'm so excited about my work, because when I trained as a hypnotherapist, I never imagined I would be talking about dreams as well. Dreams were my secret companion, my secret guide in a way. And I used to share that with my friends and, people close to me. But it just came to the surface organically in other people I was interacting with. And I love that. And I didn't oppose to that process. On the contrary, it felt like a flower blooming. Honestly.
I want to touch on that, because I have met so many, hands up, I was one of them, I'm going to call them like closeted woo-woos, right? Let me explain who a closeted woo-woo is.
Please.
A closeted woo-woo is somebody who dabbles in the woo-woo space. By woo-woo, I mean intuition, maybe crystals and guides and tarot cards, all of that kind of metaphysical, let's say, space, but they don't want nobody to know they do it. That's who I mean by the closeted woo-woo. They don't want anybody to know, because people don't understand this. Like, they may be surrounded by lots of logical people. And I remember I was that person I really didn't want to say. And what I found is one year I get on a call with potential clients, and somehow in every call, we'd end up talking about something to do with journaling or metaphysics or a crystal or incense or something that was not to do with your logical mind. And And it was like, as soon as I would say it, they'd open up, go, yeah, I do that too. Shh. So for those people who perhaps have been like me for many years, I've come out now, I'm out the cupboard, right? Operating in that space. Is there any wisdom that you can give to them in terms of how to use that interest or gift to greater effect versus it being this private thing?
That's a very good question again, Lovelda, because that's actually many people are experiencing right now. And I had so many conversations with powerful female, that came to the surface, into the light, saying, I had no choice. I had to accept who I am. I was pushed. I was guided. I struggled. I reasoned. I came with all the facts I had, with all the explanations I had logically, but I cannot stop this. It's like a volcano inside me, and it's about to erupt if I don't do something about it. So what I can share from this is, we are living special times right now. We are living in such beautiful moments when collectively we are guided towards discovering our potential, discovering our dark shadow, discovering our golden shadow, discovering who we truly are. And those that keep opposing it are gonna go through hard times, that's certain. But those that let go and just let it happen, those are the ones that finally reach that point when they just give in. But the results are absolutely amazing, because they just start to bloom from their moment on. They start to develop skills. They don't even care anymore if people, and I have to say, I'm with you, Lovelda. I was there. I read tarot.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. Intuitively, I learned myself to read tarot, and I read it to family and friends. And every time a friend asked me to do it, I used to say, keep it to yourself. Don't share with anyone. I don't do that now. Why? Because I'm wasting energy. I'm wasting time. I am making my light dimmer. For what? I have nothing to lose but to gain.
What's been kind of fun for me to do, because like I said, I was very similar. I was like, frick, I don't know what this is. Like, sometimes I talk to people and I seem to know what's on their mind, but I don't know where the heck that came from. Like, I genuinely don't know. And so firstly, I had to get to a place where I could accept that I don't know, and it's okay that I don't know. And there's no pressure on me to tell people or not tell people. I just don't know. But when I really got playful, and I think that's a really key word, when I really got playful and went, well, it's a part of me, just the same way that dancing is a part of me, speaking is a part of me. Like, it's something that is like a skill that I had that I love to express. And I thought, well, hold on a minute. If I start taking areas of my business that feel like, I just, whether that, and for many, it will be sales or marketing, one of those two, but sales, marketing, or finance, don't like it. And I apply that to it. Like, okay, cool. What if I was just to intuitively sell? Like, what would that look like? What would like intuitive marketing look like? And to me, the intuitive marketing does not look like what anybody else is doing. It looks like, right now, what do I feel like people need? I'm going to write that. Right. And I think there's an opportunity perhaps for people to play with that instinct, if you've got it, if you've developed it, to not just kind of feel like this is how it needs to be and how it needs to show up in your business, but there's an opportunity to kind of play with it in other areas of your business that maybe you struggle with, to kind of go, well, I'm going to use intuitive hiring, right? My hiring's always been rubbish because I've always hired from the mental space. So now I'm just going to feel into each person, not literally feel them, you know what I mean? And just kind of see, that feels like a good fit. That doesn't. That's all I need to know. Do you play with with your intuition and your instincts in that way as well? Like, what creative places have you used yours? Like, I'm excited to know.
All the time. To answer your question, all the time. Because I've learned in time through experience that when I play, it becomes easier. When I play, I get to change those old beliefs into new ones. When I play, miracles happen. And with your permission, I want to give you a quick example of how I used to play with things and discovered that intuition is fantastic and life is amazing and observing symbols around us is just so out of this world beautiful. I was in Madrid in 2007 and I was working as a lawyer. I was working full-time, many more hours than we should normally do, and I was burned out. And logically, like you said, consciously, that reason in our mind said it's December. Every year I used to go back to my home in Romania. But this time I said, I cannot go to Romania. I only have a week holiday. It's not going to be enough. I'm going to be, 2 days taken traveling. It's not worth it. But deep down inside, I felt an urge. I felt a calling. I don't know why, but I need to be there. And, for a couple of days, I played with this. Okay, but you really can't go because you start work on the 2nd of January, 2008. You don't have time. You need to focus. You need to prepare. You need to rest. You cannot go, and so on. Well, I reasoned and reasoned until I finished my reasons. And then I said, okay, intuitively, my voice inside me says, I am there. New Year's, I'm there. I went online and I said, if there is an airplane ticket available, that is my confirmation.
Yeah.
The moment I got into the website, there was a plane, a ticket, an airline ticket there. I bought it. The next day, I flew back home. It was everything done like this. Mm-hmm. I flew back home. I arrived home. When I arrived home, my mother said to me, oh my goodness, it's so amazing to have you here because I want to show you something. I just called her, the night before and I said, Mom, I'm coming home. When I arrived, she literally left my luggages down. I had a wee cup of tea and a wee chat, and she took me by the hand to her sister's house, my aunt's house. And she said, I need you to see this. This is so important. You're going to love it. And I said, okay. We went there. She put the TV on and she put on the movie The Secret. Mm. I was blown away. That moment there literally shifted everything for me. I saw the movie. I went back home. I'm calling it home because Madrid was my home for 10 years. I went back to Madrid and I started thinking about it. And I said to myself, this is so powerful. I need to test it. But if I test it in a rational way, like putting pressure or putting, goals and establishing strategies and stuff like that, I know myself, I'm not going to go through. Mm-hmm. So what I need is to have that playful energy. How about if I play with this to see if it works? And what I did was to sit down and I put on a piece of paper 3 bullet points of the things that I never thought logically they would be possible, but inside me, I wanted them. It was my soul's desire. And I put those 3 pieces of paper all over my house. And I allowed myself every time I looked at it to laugh, to sing, to dance, to engage with them, to think to myself, oh my goodness, wouldn't that be amazing? And, just play, using playful words, having fun with it, and never for a moment allowing myself to feel burdened, but living in that moment of, how about if we play with this? How about if we tune into that childish energy to, everything is possible in this life. Why not? And guess what? After 2 weeks, everything that I put on that list became true in my life. Everything.
There's a lot to be said for playing and taking a little bit of scary action and following those instincts, because you're not to know what exactly happens on that journey. It's like the thing at least for me on my journey, what I've discovered is that you've got the logical route of the things that you want to happen and how you want them to happen. And then you've got the intuitive route. Now, the logical route, the path is laid out, but it's a lot of push energy. And the intuitive route is like a jungle, but every time you step forward, something seems to move out of the way. But the thing is, it's a jungle and you have no idea what the steps are. You don't know what's coming next. You don't know if you're going to be jumping over a shark-infested waters. Like there's literally, you can only just see, oh, there's a tree. Maybe if I just move the branch. Oh, at the other side, I'm going to need, oh, there's an axe. Like it's like everything just seems to kind of drop in just in time often, and you don't quite know which of your desires it's going to lead to exactly. And sometimes it's a detour and then you're back on the road. But I think for me, at least, I think especially when you're in a year like we've had in 2020, where it has been, things have been shifting so much, it feels almost insane to think that you can map something solid on something that's shifting so much. And so to me, it feels like I'm excited about this conversation, because I think it's an excellent thing to take on going into the new year as a new way of just playing, and start with some small things. I used to play with parking spaces. Like I would pick somewhere well busy. like I live in London, folks. So if you've ever tried to drive into central London and find a parking spot, you'll know what I mean. Any busy city, just imagine, pick a building and go, not just I'm going to find parking, that I'm going to find parking immediately outside the building that I want. Because or getting a seat on the tube when we used to be able to travel and there was during rush hour. But I think just giving ourselves permission to say, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like you said, like, what have I got to lose if I play? It might work out better than I thought, or I'll learn something. But at least it's stepping forward in a direction that I feel guided to, that feels interesting, that feels awake, and that feels enlightening. Girl, we could go on. I'm like intuitive.
I know.
I mean, I want to deconstruct it and reconstruct it and look at it from different angles, because I think there's so much in this space. But before we move on, if there was just one thought around intuition, at least, that we could maybe leave people with, because I feel like it's one of these topics that can kind of feel big and a bit wishy-washy. And the secret, do I just sit down and dream stuff? Is that it? Like, do I just need to write my dreams down and write down my desires? How do we, in your, if you were to kind of say, like, quite simply, how do we take those visions or desires and map it to our gut and turn it into a reality? Do you have is there a formula for that we should be aware of? Am I asking a really big question? Am I one of them people? I'm asking a question that's like, Lovelda, how many shows have we got for this?
I like that you use the word formula, because personally, I never followed the formula in my life. I follow the intuition, and I believe intuition is not equal to formula, or doesn't include the formula, because it's never the same. You cannot do the same things all over again and you're going to get the same result. You following that intuition is going to take you on a different path, but it's still amazing, and you still reach that amazing destination that sometimes you never even imagined it. It's to leave people with a thought about intuition is, if they haven't acknowledged it yet in their lives, there might be people out there that haven't yet. It's just a question of asking themselves, have I got intuition? Do I feel it? Where do I feel it? Is it in my stomach? Is it in my heart? Is it in my head? Where do I feel the intuition? I always start with questions. And this is something related to dreams. it's very important to ask, because if we don't ask, then we go to sleep every night and we end up on that sea, the sea of the subconscious mind, and we can end up anywhere, stranded on an island or in a port, or just like the life of Pi, nowhere in the middle of the ocean. But if you ask, you always get an answer.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. I think we forget, like, just asking the question, asking a difficult question before you go to sleep. It was a game I used to play for a while, and it worked so well for me. And sometimes it was choosing. It was either to ask or to choose. So if I'd had a really crazy day, and say, you had those days, and I mean, many of you may have experienced one of them this year, heavy days, like emotionally kind of draining days, and just going to bed kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, I just want this to be over. And I would just sleep and go, okay, tomorrow I just choose to wake up relaxed and energized. And I'm just going to let it go tonight and just see what happens. And it's surprising how amazing just making those kind of choices before going to bed and being much more conscious going forward about where am I going and what do I want to experience next. And I find it difficult to do during the course of the day, like just choose a different feeling. I can't do that shit. But at night, if I've had a bad day, I can kind of go, okay, I'm done. Tomorrow, bring me peace. Right? Tomorrow, yes. I want peace. Tomorrow I want relax. Tomorrow I just want to wake up refreshed and energized. And I just leave that thought and let it float around. And so I love that you said that, because I think it can give people a nice little tool to play with if it's a space that you're new to. And if it's a space you've been in for a while, just play deeper, play more. Okay, here, I'm going to need to know this though. Exactly. Because for somebody who's so intuitive and relies very much on her instinct versus being driven, and not to say that you don't have intellect and think things through, but that's not the thing that you use as your guide, your primary guide. The guide is your intuition, and the thoughts kind of come in to support the intuition in terms of a way of operating.
Absolutely.
So from that perspective, because we live in such a masculine world, really, in which it's often the opposite. It's often that the logic leads and the emotions are kind of secondary. I'm then really curious, because to me it feels very feminine to kind of go, my feelings lead and the thoughts follow. Like, this is how I operate. Like, I feel like this, and then we're going to follow with the thoughts. What do you define as the essence of a woman's power?
That is a powerful question in itself. The essence of a woman's power. Oh, to be honest, Lovelda, I think being a woman is powerful in itself, because being a woman is complex, beautifully complex. And a woman's journey is a bit more challenging than a man's journey. And I'm going to bring in some funny facts in the answer here. There is a beautiful show that I used to recommend to my clients, my friends, everybody, the difference between how men's brains works and how women brains work, and they are so different. For men, everything's so simple, everything is in boxes, they only focus on one topic. They don't mix emotion because they simply don't care, generally speaking.
Not all men. Not
all men, of course. There are exceptions, but for a woman it's different, because for a woman, everything is connected with everything. The kids, with the husband, with the money, with the mother, with the friends, with the job, everything is connected with everything, and it is attached to emotion. And for a woman can talk about anything. A woman can start talking about soup and finishing up talking about quantum physics. It's very easy to jump from one topic to another. So being able to do that, for me, it's powerful. It's powerful. I wouldn't like to be in that position where, no, if we talk about intuition, we don't touch dreams, or we don't touch everyday life. We just talk about intuition. I think everything is connected. And that's the powerful essence of a woman, that we can connect everything. We are connected to the outside world. We are connected with our inner world, with who we truly are. And when we realize that connectiveness, that's when we embrace our power. Because I know I am you and you are me. And I know that we meet for a reason. And I know that we all come out of the end of this call enriched and more powerful women, because I learned from you. You learned from me. And that is powerful, in my opinion.
I love that. I think sometimes we can overcomplicate things, and you're the second guest in a row to say that the essence is just that we are. I just think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful to say, you know what, it's just that we are. That's the essence of a woman's power. And I love seeing the different kind of perspectives and views that we've explored in this show about power and what it means to be powerful, which brings me really back to you and your power. And because for me, I think we look at people, we think, I'd love to have their success. Like, I'd love to be more like them. And often we look at the things that they're doing to see if I do what they do, then I can be more like them. You know, there's something in them that I really love. But for me, with this show, what I've loved doing is saying, who are they being? Like, what is it? What are the driving power tools, is what I call them, that they use? Like, what is the essence of what makes them really powerful? Because maybe I can emulate and bring some of that into my life. So girl, now I'm curious. Here's the main question, and I ask everybody it, is what if we were to take everything you've done in your life and business and boil it down to like 3 core things to say, these things have been absolutely fundamental to my success. And they can be ways of being or strategies or tools or techniques. What would those 3 things be? You've only got 3. Only 3? What would your first one be?
My first one, Lovelda, is dreams.
Why am I not surprised?
My message to the world right now is I practice hypnotherapy, but who I really am is a dream seer. And I'm saying that because dreams have been my constant companion my whole life. And I learned to trust them, and I learned to follow them, and they never let me down. Never.
I can't tell you how much I love that you say that, because I think it will strike a chord with people who perhaps have been struggling to trust something that feels less tangible and less logical. And so I love that you said they've been my trusted companion.
Yes, they have been. Absolutely.
So beautiful. So the first one is your dreams. And what's the second one?
The second one is intuition.
Again, why am I not surprised?
Intuition. I think it was the powerful link between the dream world and the waking world. That's how I learned to trust the signs that came my way to confirm my dreams and to help me to follow them. So I think intuition is, for me, the element that connected the 2 worlds.
I've never heard it put like that before, but then I've never been somebody who's had such vivid dreams like you've had. So I don't think it would be something that had occurred to me, that your intuition for you has connected the physical realm with the dream realm. It's kind of given you the confirmation. It's like, okay, I dreamt that. Oh, look at that. It's come up here and it's come up there and it's come up there. That confirms that there's some resonance in this dream. That is a beautiful way to put it. I've never heard it put like that before. So see, you learn something new every day, eh? You know, we can have the same thing and look at it completely different. So dreams, intuition, and then what would be your third one?
And courage.
Now, okay, it feels like you're going into like like the other 2 were like soft, and now you're like, courage. Where does that fit in?
It comes with the word warrior, because we are not victims. And when we play the role of a victim, we tap into fears. We tap into, those low energies, the realm that we don't embrace our full potential. But when you observe your dreams, when you link with your intuition, when you make that connection and you start to play with it and you start to trust it more and more, it's when you become brave and courageous and you dive deep. The next time when when life comes to test you or to play with you, you no longer spend weeks or months assessing whether you should or not follow your intuition. You just dive deep. You take that leap of faith to follow your intuition or to follow that sign, and that is courage. That for me is the cherry on top. Being brave.
The conviction to follow through. It's the courage of your convictions, I think, is the way that I've heard it expressed before. And that bit you just said there about it's the thing that means that you go from over analyzing to kind of going, my instinct tells me this, my intuition tells me it, I feel it to the core of my soul, so I'm just going to do it. And I don't need to evaluate it. I don't need to look at everything else. I don't need to logically rationalize this. I've got sufficient courage to say, if that's what I feel, I'm going with it. But I guess sometimes that comes with a little bit of practice, like a few rounds, because I know the first couple of times I need to play with something small, and then I not follow it for something big and go, shit.
Correct.
That's why that didn't happen. I did have a bad sense, but I went ahead and so I love that it's having the courage in the moment to say, I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to go with it because it feels right, even though it feels a bit scary, even though I want to rationalize the heck out of it. So for those people who perhaps have been a bit indecisive this year, who want to launch into 2021 with much more decisiveness, that was a gold nugget. That's one you need to run with. That little gold nugget of just focus, just be decisive. Oh, girl. Mariana, you have delivered so much wisdom, and the energy of this show, today's episode, might be quite different from the energies of other episodes, but to me, it's a beautiful exploration. And for me, at least, intuition is very much core to how I operate. And it's been a journey for me to get there and have the courage to follow mine. And so I've loved having this discussion to bring it more to the forefront for others who perhaps are still in that kind of dabbling space and maybe have struggled through, felt like they're kind of wading through treacle. I can, at least in my experience, when I just allowed myself to listen and have those courageous steps and take things forward, it does become a little bit easier. But I think sometimes we need to have more of these conversations in a slightly more open way, so it feels a little bit less like, for those of you in the woo-woo cupboard, we got you. This one was for those.
You're not alone.
Cupboard. You're not alone. There's more of us. Some of us have just found the balls to say a little bit more just yet, but it's all right. We started in the cupboard too, so we get it. You take your time. Take your time. So there'll be people who've been listening and they're loving this. Perhaps they've had a lot of dreams, or they've been playing with their intuition, or the idea of hypnotherapy really resonates with them, and they'd like to connect with you a little bit more. What is the best way of people connecting with you?
Well, the best way to connect with me is through my website, through my LinkedIn profile, through my Facebook profile, or just call me. I am very much a hands on the phone person. Yes, very much so. And I love to hear people's voices, because and for them to hear mine, because that's how we build trust. That's how we open up easily. And it's more humane for me to, just pick up the phone and call. We have, like I said, nothing to lose.
Those are in the show notes. By the way, I have a show notes dance now. In the show notes.
I love your dance.
I don't know why it started or when it started. I think I just used to do this and then it turned into a little move. I might have somebody put some music over the show notes dance. All of the details are in the show notes. And guess what? You brought presents. She
I
brought
did.
gifts. What are we going to be downloading as our Christmas gift for ourselves? What are we going to be accessing as our gifts to ourselves over this festive period? Tell us.
Your own personal dream analysis session.
Get out. What would you?
I would like people to start believing in their dreams and to follow their dreams. And I'm honestly on a mission, Lovelda, to help people access more their dreams. And I want to have a conversation with them about their dreams. Where are they in their journey? They don't remember their dreams. There's nothing wrong about it. There's nothing to be scared. On the contrary, dreams are waiting for you just to ask, so that they can come rushing in to be your friend. So yes, you are a vivid dreamer. I would love to hear about your dreams. I would love to share more tips with you. I would love to share that experience, because we are, I believe, truly believe, Lovelda, we are gradually going to become a dreamy society. We cannot separate ourselves from our dreams. No.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you are in that, if you're having vivid dreams, or if you'd like to start having them, like if you feel like there was a time when you had them and then you don't anymore, you just really want to understand this space a lot more, I cannot recommend enough. Book one of them sessions. Just get it booked in. Get it booked in. It's 30 minutes. It's very generous. Links are in the show notes. In the show notes.
I love your dance. I absolutely love your dance.
I'm going to have to come up with a new one for 2020. It's going to have to be like a show notes dance, you know. I think YouTube gets more hits now just because I'm a little bit too crazy. I can't help myself, folks. You know, we gotta have fun with this, right? Playfulness.
Absolutely.
That has been the theme of the show, and I am living for it. This has been an incredible talk. I've really enjoyed this, and honestly, I could talk about intuition and stories about intuition and stories about when I didn't follow my intuition and where else we can apply. And I could talk about this for we could do a whole season just on this topic. But we're kind of out of time now. But what I would like to know is there like one thing, like if somebody's listened to this point and there's just one nugget of wisdom that you would say, if you take nothing else from this episode, take this, like here is the thing. What would that nugget of wisdom be?
As you know, Lovelda, it's something that I'm only reminding you and people out there, and to myself, because every time I speak is a reminder for myself as well. There's no past, there's no tomorrow. It's just this present moment. It's just the power of now. It's time. When you look into your dreams, all is revealed. Who you truly are, what you're made of, what's your mission and your purpose in this life, all is revealed in your dreams.
There's just now. There's just now. Oh, that is all we have time for today. Mamma mia. I'm just going to keep saying it. There's just now. And so for those who've been on the fence about maybe tomorrow, maybe later, there's just now. Make the decisions, follow your instinct, move things forward in some way, because your dreams are realized from moment to moment. There's no past, there's no future, girl. There's just this one hot moment. And what I need you to do in this one hot moment is remember that we have a holiday draw. There's a holiday draw for a one-to-one session with me to go through your online profile and assess it as a speaker. There are a few spaces available. All you need to do is make sure that you are following us on Instagram. That's at Lovelda Show, and drop us a comment, share something with us, and we will put you into the draw and announce it in the new year. That is really it. Any programs that I've got coming up, you can find the links to those in the show notes. The Find Speaking Gigs Accelerator and the Nail Your Niche program are both starting at the beginning of the year. So if your now is very much about getting your voice out there, you know, after you've done the assessment to understand if that's aligned to your dreams, and if it comes up, you need to come in. All of those links are in the show notes. Until next time, gorgeous, beautiful souls, remember, there's no past, there's no future. there's just now. You've been listening to The Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast. Until next time, chicas. Ciao.